This is a KMVT sports presentation.
Winner take all. There is no tomorrow. Two cliches you could use to describe tonight's game. The extra point game being played in the District 6 Regional Babe Ruth Tournament here at Mountain View's McKelvey Park. Last night, Palo Alto forced the extra game, beating Mountain View 9-2. Double elimination tournament, you have to lose twice. Mountain View's lost once, so is Palo Alto. Whoever wins tonight is tournament of the event. Alongside of Casey McGuire, I'm George Devine. And Casey, you've played in tournaments like this. Palo Alto with a tough road. After winning their first ball game, they dropped a 7-1 ball game to Mountain View, then went into the losers bracket, defeated San Carlos 4-0, and then came back, turned the tables on Mountain View last night right here on KMVT.
Yes, this is a very nerve-wracking game for both of these teams. Palo Alto had to fight back and show Mountain View that they were not just going to roll over and die. They came back last night, scored 9 runs, and I bet they're going to come out here fired up. I heard a lot of cheers out of their dugout before the game. Mountain View's dugout was kind of silent on the other hand. I don't know if Mountain View's nervous or their stomachs are upset about something, but Palo Alto seems to be more ready for this game.
Getting ready right there for Palo Alto is leadoff batter center fielder Joe Giannini. He'll be the first man to face Brian Cordero tonight, and then he'll be followed by Rob McGregor, the third baseman, Jeff Marquez, the left fielder. Devin Holloway is in right field tonight. He bats fourth. Doug Govan, the catcher, is in the 5 spot this evening. First baseman Pat Frost bats sixth. Andy Nilo plays shortstop and bats seventh. Mike Slagle tonight starting at third base in place of Dave Whitson bats eighth. Mike McCormick is at second and bats ninth. Giannini, McGregor, Marquez, Holloway, Govan, Frost, Nilo, Slagle, and McCormick, the lineup for Palo Alto. Mountain View's defense behind right-hander Brian Cordero looks like this. That's Mike Olson behind the plate. Mike Garcia is in left field, so they flip-flop. Remember, Olson was in center field last night. Garcia behind the plate. Zach McDonald is now in center. He played second the last couple of nights. Chris Yoshida is in right field. So Garcia, McDonald, Yoshida left or right on the outfield. Greg Smith takes over for Cordero at third. Chris Runyon is at short. Tyler Renahan is at second, and Steve Moore at first. So Coach Joe Guinera doing a little mixing and matching with his fielders. The batting order pretty much stays the same with Yoshida leading off, but everybody in a different spot on the field. And one of the things a lot of our viewers have noticed in this tournament, and of course we've noticed, is the outstanding play of Brian Cordero at third base. Tonight he takes the pitcher's mound. Greg Smith is being asked to fill some big shoes over there at the hot corner.
Yeah, it's tough for Greg Smith to come back and fill the shoes of Brian Cordero. He's been an all-around player in this tournament, and he's just going to show off another one of his features here tonight as he is the starting pitcher.
So Joe Giannini steps in. He was 1 for 2 last night. Walked in that fourth inning when Palo Alto scored 2 times. They scored 3 times in the 5th and 4 more times in the 7th, totaling up 9 runs. Mountain View had the 2-0 lead after 3 innings last night. And the first pitch, a fastball for strike 1. Ed Costa calls the balls and strikes tonight. Dave Einenguez is on the base paths. So a 2-man umpiring crew. The last couple of games we've seen a 4-man crew. Here's Cordero's 0-1. That's a fastball. Swung on and missed by Giannini, and he's down on the count 0-2.
I don't expect there to be a lot of offense in the first couple innings, George. They got to get the nerves settled down, and once they get into the groove of the baseball game, then the hits and the runs will start to come.
Smith in on the grass at third. Here's the 0-2, and it's fouled off to our left, and it'll stay 0-2. Giannini with good speed. Someone will give Cordero fits. In fact, he went down looking to open up the ball game last night after Yoshida was down on the count 3-0. Here's the 0-2, and it's tapped foul at the plate. And Giannini keeps his leadoff at bat alive. As we usually mention in these broadcasts from McKelvey Park, the shadows are a factor. You see them right there. You see folks with the umbrella to stay out of the sun. Depending on where you are, it's either very bright or very dark. Gives the hitters a lot of trouble, gives the left side fielders a lot of trouble. Both of those respective groups having a hard time seeing the ball initially. Here's the 1-2 from Cordero, and it misses low, and the count evens at 2-2.
I've noticed that on third base, Greg Smith is not wearing any sunglasses, but in left field, Mike Garcia is. I don't know if that's tougher for the outfielders. I've never played on the left side in the sun, so I wouldn't know.
Garcia wearing the sunglasses, possibly a prescription. Often you'll see a player go with lamp black. Neither Garcia or Smith electing to do that. Giannini right now ahead in the count 3-2. He doesn't have any choice but to swing on anything close. This is not an elective at-bat. And he fouls that pitch off. Really good at-bat right here for Giannini. He's extended things. He's forced Cordero to throw a lot of pitches to open the ball game.
That's a good point, George. What the leadoff batter is meant to do is to make the first at-bat for the pitcher a nightmare. He is supposed to get on base and make the pitcher throw as many pitches as he can.
Here's another 3-2. And it misses inside, and Giannini draws the walk.
Good at bat for Giannini. He went down 0-2, then fought back, fouled off a couple pitches, and made Cordero throw some balls.
So a running threat at first base.
Rob McGregor.
And Rob McGregor comes up. McGregor is actually the starting pitcher tonight. When we gave the lineups, we had 2 third basemen in there. The third baseman is Slagle. So make that change if you're keeping score at home. McGregor the starting pitcher. The right-hander that'll be opposing Cordero. A couple of changes made in the last minute by Rick Beckwith, the Palo Alto manager. McGregor yet to see a pitch from his opposite number. Sees a fastball outside. Throw down to second, and Giannini is safe. So 1-0 to McGregor. You see Mike Olson right there, his first test tonight. Take another look right here. Throw is high, so is the tag, and Giannini ducks underneath. Cordero checks the runner off second. Now comes home with the 1-1. It's a fastball fouled off to our right. The count evens at 1-1. Palo Alto defeated Belmont 13-0 in 5 innings. 4-hit performance for the Palo Alto squad, then lost to Mountain View 7-1, a 4-0 win over San Carlos, and the 9-2 win over Mountain View, which all of you saw on KMVT. 2-1 now the count to McGregor. Cordero in a first inning jam, 1 on, nobody out, just underway here at McKelvey Park. Fastball swung on right field. This is going to drop. It will be trouble. Giannini with a late start from second goes into third standing up. McGregor has a single, and he's moved the runner over. And Palo Alto has runners at the corners.
This is not what you want to do if you're Mountain View. You don't want to give up the early lead. Palo Alto, McGregor, nice at bat there, going with the pitch, taking it to right center field. Giannini had kind of a choice to make in his head at second base whether it was going to drop or be caught. So he's luckily made it to third base in time.
So Marquez comes up, McDonald shading towards left from center field. Runner goes from first. And McGregor has second stolen. Oh, 0-1 to Marquez. Cordero checks the runners, now comes home. That's breaking ball high, and the count evens at 1-1. Fastball at the belt, taken for a called strike by Marquez, and he's now down 1-2. And if Cordero is going to wish for a strikeout, now is the time. Runners on second and third, nobody out, ball game just underway. And he's trying to avoid a whole lot of trouble. And a called strike 3, a fastball out the knees, gets Marquez looking. Made to order for Brian Cordero, and Devin Holloway comes to the plate.
That was a big strikeout for Cordero. It calms the nerves down, and he finally gets the first out of the inning, which Mountain View needs.
Devin Holloway with a big ball game last night. Drove in 4 runs, 2 of them on a single in the 4-run 5th inning for Palo Alto. And the first pitch, a fastball at the knees for a called strike. It's 0-1.
Big gap in left center field. If Holloway were to hit that gap, definitely would score both the runs.
Garcia, statuary straight away. A couple of steps towards the line. McDonald straight away as well. A couple of steps towards right. Holloway down on the count 0-2. And Cordero hoping for another ready-to-order strikeout right here. He deals the 0-2. Fastball misses outside and high, and it's 1-2. Cordero's best pitch is his fastball. He does throw a curve and a breaking pitch as well. 1-2. And he throws off speed outside, and it misses, and the count evens at 2-2.
Brian's got the right placement for this batter. Holloway is way off the plate. If you want to take him outside, maybe get him chase one.
So here's the 2-2. And it's inside. It's hit over Smith at third base in the left field. Giannini coming home to score. Following him, McGregor. Holloway on his way to second. And Palo Alto takes a 2-0 lead.
I don't know if that pitch was a mistake or not, George, but Brian Cordero was going away that entire at bat. He comes inside, as you see on the replay. He comes inside with that pitch, and Holloway pulls it down the left field line, scoring the 2 runs.
So Garcia does throw the ball, but it's up the line and not very playable for Olson. Doug Govan batting with two already in, 1 out, and a runner at second. Fouls the first pitch off. It's 0-1. So Cordero in a jam early. Got the strikeout of Marquez, but then went 2-2 to Holloway and paid the price. 1-1 to Govan. Smith now shading his eyes at third, comes in on the grass. That misses low, it's 2-1.
Remember, George, in the game yesterday, Brian Cordero had a sore shoulder. So I think as the game goes on and Palo Alto keeps up letting Brian Cordero throw a lot of pitches, Palo Alto will definitely get the advantage. Inside
pitch, back to the box. Cordero looks the runner back from second, goes over to first for the out, and there are 2 gone. So Cordero got a made-to-order comebacker right there. Takes care of Govan 3-1. Holloway had no choice because Cordero stared him back to second. He stays there. And Pat Frost stands in with 2 out and 2 in and 1 on. And the first pitch misses low and away. It's 1-0. But Mountain View will have to try to get something going on the bottom half. They're going to have to come up with at least 1 run. Pitch in the dirt, and Frost goes ahead 2-0. Momentum the key in these tournaments. Palo Alto capturing a lot of momentum last night, down 3-0. They get down 2-0, coming up with 7 unanswered runs. 3-0 now to Frost. In fact, in the ball game last night, Palo Alto went 3 up, 3 down in the first and second. Then a double play made the 3rd inning a 3 up, 3 down affair as well. Called strike, the fastball outside, and the count to 3-1 on Frost.
Now, if I were the coach for Palo Alto, George, I'd want to make their runner at second base run to third at this point. The third baseman has the sun right in his eyes, and anything high will be a sure stolen base.
That misses high, and Frost will waltz down to first. Second walk surrendered by Cordero this inning. And Andy Nilo, the number 7 hitter, coming to the plate.
Now batting shortstop, number 17, Andy Nilo.
Chris Yoshida set him down early and off him through the first 3. Then hit some rocky waters in the 4th when the ball game was tied. Throw down to third. And going from 2nd to 3rd safely is Holloway. So he steals 3rd. Staying put at 1st is Frost.
The one bad thing about that play for Palo Alto is Frost did not run to second base. That sets up an easy ground ball force out of second base for the 3rd out of the inning.
So Runyon moves a little closer to the bag at short. Pitch in the dirt gets away from Olson. He recovers. Now Frost elects to go to 2nd on the wild pitch. The count 2-0 to Nilo. On deck, the number 8 hitter Slagle. Now Joe Guinera is out of the dugout for a word with Brian Cordero. And Casey, you mentioned Cordero having some shoulder problems and perhaps those catching up with him right now.
Yes, he's also having, as I see, some control problems, as you can probably see at home. He's not finding the strike zone very well. Even the throw to first base on that comebacker to the mound was kind of high. So he's having trouble finding the strike zone, but once he does that, he's going to get in a nice groove.
He's down 2-0 in the count right here and 2-0 in the ball game. Trying to get Nilo to bite at something close, and he does, and he fouls it off, and it's 2-1.
Tough pitch to swing at if you're Nilo. Brian Cordero just walked the batter before him on 4 straight pitches, and started off Nilo with 2 straight balls. To swing at a low pitch like that, I don't know if you really want to do that in the first inning of the game.
Here's the 2-1. And it's a fastball. Tap towards center field. Could be trouble. Coming in McDonald. Going back from 2nd. Renahan. It drops in. Here comes Holloway to score. Here comes Frost, and it's 4-0. So Nilo comes up with a Texas leaguer into the sun that's nothing but trouble for Mountain View. 2 bases and 2 runs batted in. And he doubles the Alto lead. This is how it happens.
You'll see here on the replay, Renahan going out, McDonald coming in. Neither of them got there in time. McDonald fortunate that Renahan didn't trip over him, or that would have been some more bad news for Mountain View.
Remember, Zach McDonald has played 2nd during this tournament. Mike Slagle standing in. This is his first appearance of the tournament in the outfield. Renahan has pitched and played 2nd. Throw down to 2nd. Not in time. And it's stolen by Nilo.
The break's just not going Mountain View's way here in the top of the 1st inning.
So 1-0 to Slagle, 8th man to bat this inning. Cordero throws a fastball low and it misses. 2-0 now the count. The inning started with a walk to Giannini. He then stole 2nd, went to 3rd on the McGregor single. Both of them came home on the Holloway double. Throw back to 2nd in time, and they pick off Nilo 2-6. But an exciting inning for Palo Alto. They played 4 runs on 3 hits. They leave no one, and after a half inning, it's Palo Alto 4, Mountain View coming to bat. Mountain View will try to get some offense going. Chris Yoshida, the right fielder, will lead things off, followed by Brian Cordero, the pitcher. Chris Runyon, the shortstop, bats 3rd. Then Stephen Moore, the first baseman, hits in the cleanup spot. Mike Olson, the catcher, bats 5th. Mike Garcia, the left fielder, bats 6th. Greg Smith, the 3rd baseman, bats 7th. Zach McDonald, the center fielder, bats 8th. Tyler Renahan, the 2nd baseman, bats 9th. So Yoshida, Cordero, Runyon, Moore, Olson, Garcia, Smith, McDonald, and Renahan. So some folks out here enjoying the warm weather on this Friday evening.
By KMVT Mountain View,
right now hearing that this game will be broadcast on Monday night. See a replay right there of the inning-ending pickoff. Nice job right there by Cordero throwing to Chris Runyon. And they took care of Andy Nilo 2-6. Over on the shady side of the field, folks enjoying things as well. Palo Alto's defense looks like this behind right-hander Rob McGregor. Jeff Marquez in left field, Joe Giannini in center, Devin Holloway is in right, Mike Slagle at third base, Andy Nilo is at shortstop, Mike McCormick is at second, Pat Frost at first, and Doug Govan is the guy catching the warm-up pitches from Rob McGregor. And they plan on him to catch the real ones as well.
The key for Mountain View in the first inning here, George, is to do the same exact thing Palo Alto did. Take pitches, make McGregor throw pitches to Mountain View. Unlike last night when Chris Yoshida came up and swung at the first pitch, you didn't get to see a lot of Pat Frost.
Yoshida in his last 2 ball games has not put the ball in play. 0 for 3, 0 for 3. Reached on an error. On Tuesday night, walked last night, but otherwise very quiet in the leadoff spot. So Mountain View already with a hole to climb out of. Down 4-0 here, bottom of the first, getting their first look at Rob McGregor, who's well rested, hasn't pitched in a few days. And the first pitch is the fastball that misses high, 1-0. Cordero and Runyon to follow here in the first. Fastball at the knees for a called strike, 1-1. Slagle even with the bag at third, and Cordero looks at a fastball for another called strike and goes behind 1-2. Cordero did not have a good look at that last pitch by McGregor, and McGregor will try to do the same thing right here. So Yoshida waits. Swung on and missed in the dirt. Govan picks it up, throws to first. Yoshida in the books on the pass ball put out, 2-3. Now Brian Cordero will come to the plate.
Now batting pitcher number 9, Brian Cordero.
Got ahead of ourselves right there. As Yoshida went behind in the count, now Cordero will try to get ahead in the count. He stares at a fastball at the belt for a called strike. McGregor keeps coming fastball, fastball, fastball right at the belt. Nobody seems to be biting so far. This is swung on left side. Slagle is under it. He makes the catch, and there are 2 gone.
McGregor is making Mountain View hit the ball. They're not going to lie down and play dead as Mountain View thought Palo Alto was going to do yesterday. McGregor knows that Mountain View is going to go down with a fight, so
shortstop number 33,
he's just up to him to throw strikes and have his defense do the rest.
So Chris Runyon, who was 1 for 3 last night, reached on a fielder's choice and an error, stands in. He was 2 for 4 on Tuesday against Palo Alto. A combined 3 for 7 for the tournament against this ball club. 1-0 pitch is in the dirt, and the count goes to 2-0. But often against a power pitcher, you can fatten up your hitting numbers by becoming a good power hitter. That's a power hitter pitch right there, and for a strike, it's 2-1. Two-one pitch in the dirt, and the count goes to 3-1 on Runyon with Moore, the cleanup man, on deck. And McGregor deals 3-1, and it's called a strike at the belt, and the count goes full.
That's what they like to call the hitter's pitch, 3-1, right down the middle of the plate, and Runyon didn't bite on it.
Very attractive pitch right there, almost a pitching machine pitch. Right over the plate at belt level, and another, and Runyon goes down looking. 2 strikeouts in the first inning for McGregor. He sets Mountain View down in order and holds on to that 4-0 lead for Palo Alto. Second inning set to start here at McKelvey Park in Mountain View. Championship game of the Babe Ruth 14-year-old District 6 All-Star Tournament. Mountain View hadn't lost at all until last night when they fell to Palo Alto 9-2. Palo Alto avoided elimination by beating Mountain View in that ball game, and now Brian Cordero offers a fastball for a strike to Mike Slagle to open the inning. Mike McCormick, the number 9 hitter, follows, followed by the top of the order in Joe Giannini. 0-1 pitch, fastball at the belt, tapped right side. Coming over from second to make the catch is Renahan. There's one away.
Nice play coming over, catch that fly ball by Tyler Renahan to get the first out of the inning.
But Palo Alto trying to win the championship of this thing the hard way. They were relegated to the loser's bracket with a 7-1 loss to Mountain View. Had to come back, beat San Carlos, beat Mountain View again just to get here tonight. So not exactly the most direct route to winning a championship, but they seem to be negotiating it okay so far. 1-0 from Cordero to McCormick. Comes inside and he falls behind the number 9 batter, 2-0. Mountain View could have wrapped the thing up, finished the tournament 3-0 with a win last night, but failed to do so. Now Cordero falls behind 3-0.
What I think happened to Mountain View last night, George, is they thought that it was going to be a shoo-in, that they were going to win the championship. And as I said before, Palo Alto just wasn't going to roll over and die. They were going to go down with a fight.
3-0 pitch taken for a strike at the belt, and the take sign was on, so 3-1 now the count. Last thing you want to do is walk the number 9 hitter. I don't care if it's an all-star game or the first game of spring training. It's the last thing you want to do. And Cordero offers another strike right there and loads the count full. Here's the payoff. Swung on, center field. McDonald on his horse, backpedaling, makes the catch, 2 away. So a tough catch for Zach McDonald, but he comes up with it nonetheless, and there are 2 gone here in the second inning.
Next up, top of the order, center fielder.
So Joe Giannini, who started out the ball game with a walk, later scored on the double by Holloway, right ahead of Rob McGregor for the first 2 runs of the evening for Palo Alto, stands in. Cordero's breaking pitch misses high, and it's 1-0. Cordero goes to the fastball over at the knees, and it's 1-1. But a lot of folks felt that Palo Alto was the best fundamental team in this tournament. And another called strike at the knees, it's 1-2. Felt they had the best athletes, the best pitching. That was the consensus among a lot of the people here at the tournament, especially members of the media. And Giannini is hit with the pitch. So he gets first base the hard way, and Rob McGregor will come to the table.
Not what you want to do if you're Cordero ahead by a strike. You get 2 strikes, 2 outs to the leadoff batter, and you hit him with a pitch. That's not a good sign for Mountain View.
Now batting, pitcher number 9, Rob McGregor.
So Rob McGregor, who singled his last time up, it was during his at-bat that Giannini stole second, went to third on the single. He went the opposite way with it, McGregor did. Does have power to all fields, fouls the first pitch off, and it's 0-1. But Palo Alto did everything right, actually had everything go their way. It's probably the better way to say it in the first. McGregor got an opposite field single with a runner on second to send him to third. Then Holloway got the double after McGregor had stolen second to put 2 runners in scoring position. That drove in 2. Frost then walked with 2 outs. Nilo then got a single, which drove in a pair of runs. Giannini down to second safely. So the force play is taken away at second. Second stolen base of the game for Giannini. 1-1 now the count to McGregor. Runner could be going with the pitch, he doesn't. Ball is hit into the gap in right center, and this is going to fall for extra bases. Giannini scores easily. On his way to second, McGregor, he stands up with 2. Second hit and first RBI of the night. So Giannini scores his second run, McGregor with his second hit, and Palo Alto a 5-0 lead.
You'll see it here on replay. McGregor again goes with the pitch to right field. And all this rally by Palo Alto done with 2 outs here in the top of the second inning.
This is popped up by Marquez, foul off of third base. Up into the trees over on Park Avenue over there. And no damage is done, just some leaves on the ground, and it's 0-1. Cordero deals. That misses high. Count now 1-1 to Marquez. On deck, Devin Holloway. But the inning started quietly. Slagle with a pop to Renahan at second. Then McCormick a long fly ball to McDonald in center field. 2 outs. That Cordero went ahead 0-2 on Giannini. Then threw one out of the strike zone. Then went through one that hit Giannini in the leg. That's when the trouble began. Marquez ahead in the count 2-1 here. Watches one low and away, and the count goes to 3-1.
This is going to be Marquez's pitch right here. Brian's got to come with the strike, and anything in the strike zone, Marquez is going to hit.
Remember, with 2 outs, the runner goes on the crack of the bat. McGregor with decent speed from second with a short lead. This is right down the middle, well hit towards center field. McDonald with a long run, but he's there to make the catch for the out. Palo Alto comes up with one more on the McGregor double. They strand one, and after 1.5, lead by 5-0. Bases umpire Dave Inanguez taking a stroll in the park. Let's check out what his partner Ed Costa is doing behind the plate. Only a 2-man crew tonight. That's because it was a Friday night and hard to locate umpires. Steve Moore, Mike Olson, and Mike Garcia due here in the second for Mountain View, and Moore takes the first pitch for a strike, a fastball, right over the middle, and it's 0-1. He chops this one towards his opposite number at third. Instead, Nilo, the shortstop, picks it up behind Slagle, throws to first, gets the out, and there's one away. So he's safe at first.
Now batting pitcher, number 36, Mike Olson.
And Mike Olson will bat with a runner on. So Moore beats out the throw. And Olson will bat, first Mountain View base runner of the night. Take another look right here at the base hit. Tough situation right there for Nilo. 1-0 to Olson. And he takes a strike at the belt, and it's 1-1. Runner goes, throw down at second to the right side of the bag, and it gets away from Nilo, the shortstop. Off to the races goes Moore. He dives into third without a throw to greet him. He steals second, goes to third on the error. Error is charged to the catcher, Govan. That throw nowhere near second base. Two-one pitch, swung on and missed, and the count goes even at 2-2. Did he go? Yes, he did, says Ed Costa. Strikeout for Rob McGregor. Mike Olson goes in the books. 1 out here in the second, and Mike Garcia to the plate.
Now batting left fielder, number 28, Mike Garcia.
5 runs on 4 hits, 1 error for Palo Alto. Mountain View with 1 hit. This is popped up towards third. Slagle, and now Nilo to make the catch.
Garcia again swinging at the first pitch he saw. That's not what you want to do when you're down by 5 runs and you need base runners.
So that man with the 1 hit more with the dirty uniform over at third base. Now Greg Smith inherits the responsibility of driving him in.
Greg Smith.
So Mountain View an out away from going quickly again here in the second. First pitch to Smith, a fastball over at the knees. It's 0-1. This is popped up, back of third. No play for anyone, 0-2.
Greg chased one that was at his eyes, and he's not very happy with himself, as you can see there.
Swung on and missed. And Smith is rung up. So the hit is wasted. A runner left for Mountain View here in the second. And they trail by 5 through 2. Back to start the top of the third inning. Holloway, Govan, and Frost. And Holloway takes a strike to start the inning out, and it's 0-1. Holloway has last time up doubled to drive in the first 2 runs of the ball game. Later scored on the Nilo single. The 0-1 pitch, a fastball at the belt, foul back, and it's 0-2. We opened up the last inning with a picture of the umpires, and I mentioned we only have 2 of them. Ed Costa behind the plate, Dave Einenguez on the bases. Kind of like the Pacific Coast League right now that's having an umpire shortage, the AAA League on the West Coast. And the pitch misses outside. It's 1-2. The way it works in the professional baseball ranks for umpires, many of the AAA umpires are under option to the American and National Leagues. Cordero with the 1-2 pitch. And it's called strike up high, and Holloway doesn't know what hit him. So Cordero with his second strikeout.
Nice 0-2 pitch, 1-2 pitch by Cordero. Curveball curved right over the strike zone, and Holloway didn't know it was coming.
So Doug Govan will stand in. Last time he had a comebacker to Cordero, threw over to first for the out, stares at a fastball high, and it misses, 1-0. The story about the PCL is they have several umpires on their staff who are on Major League option who get called up when Major League umpires get hurt or go on vacation or have to leave for personal reasons. 2 and out of Govan. So they actually had a game in Salt Lake City a few weeks ago where they only had 1 umpire available. They had to hire a local college umpire to fill out a 2-man crew. The league likes to go with 3-man crews if they can. He chops at a pitch high, and Govan sees the count go to 2-1. Ron Barnes, a local guy out of the Bay Area, is a National League optionee who works in the PCL. Ted Barnett, Phil Kulbruth, and Ray DeMuro for the AL. Another comebacker to Cordero, and Govan sees deja vu all over again. 2 gone in the third. So you don't want to get a pair of comebackers from your number 5 batter.
Now batting first baseman number 21,
so with 2 outs, Pat Frost will bat with the bases open.
It seems to me, George, like Brian Cordero is starting to calm down and throw a lot more strikes than he was in the first 2 innings.
And he throws a strike right there, a fastball at the belt. It's 0-1. It also helps when you start out the inning, getting a strikeout and a comebacker. The 0-1 is popped up, middle of the infield. Runyon over from short, there to make the catch, and Cordero deals him 1-2-3 in the top of the third. Mountain View is going to try to get some offense going when we return. Twilight at McKelvey Park, joined by Casey McGuire and our producer and director Lazarus Sarginas, George Devine, coming to you with Babe Ruth championship action, 14-year-old District 6 championship game. Zach McDonald, Tyler Renahan in the top of the Mountain View order, and Chris Yoshida doing the home third. First pitch to McDonald is taken high for ball 1. McDonald 2 for 3 last night, a single and a double. And he pops this one up towards short. Nilo is there, calls everyone off, makes the catch, 1 away. Nilo with very good communication out there, letting everyone know that that ball was his. That's one of the tough things, especially in the twilight sun, is picking up a ball.
Second baseman, number 11, Tyler Renahan.
Off of the sun or off of the shade and making a play and communicating with your teammates that you do indeed have it. First pitch to Renahan is taken high for ball 1. But one of the problems sometimes, especially with young players, even with older players, they don't talk to each other out there on the diamond. They have a tendency to make mistakes as a result. Renahan goes ahead in the count 2-0.
You see that a lot in the Senior Babe Ruth or even the Joe DiMaggio leagues that we show here on KMVT. The older players don't communicate as much and they end up running into each other or maybe even suffering an injury due to that.
McGregor has fallen behind 3-0 to Tyler Renahan, the number 9 batter in the Mountain View lineup. Renahan most likely taking right here, and a strike, a fastball fired at the belt. And we now have confirmation that Renahan was taking. Here's the 3-1 from McGregor, and another fastball at the belt. I guess the take sign was on again. So now the count is full to Renahan. Yoshida waiting in the on-deck circle. McGregor deals. Fastball misses low, and Renahan now gets to walk to first base.
Only the second base runner for Mountain View in the game.
Mountain View wasted the leadoff single by Stephen Moore in the second. Olson struck out, Garcia popped to short, and then Smith struck out. Moore watched the whole thing happen from second base and then at third. Quick throw over to first. Renahan back in plenty of time. But on a day like this, when you've got the sun and now the lights are on, that adds another problem to the equation. Pitch foul back, and the count 0-1 to Yoshida. Yoshida, as last time, was a strikeout victim, was not officially out until Govan threw down a Frost because Govan dropped the ball after the third strike. So it was a pass ball put out. Everybody's lost the ball here today. Fielders lose it, batters lose it, broadcasters lose it, umpires lose it. It's tough to see out here. 1-1 to Yoshida. That's why it's good to have people who help you out. And sometimes, even if somebody doesn't have a good beat on catching the ball, another quick throw over, you will often see them, especially a middle infielder, sometimes with an outfielder or a catcher with an infielder, kind of giving them some direction on where the ball is. This is swung to second. McCormick sees it go off his glove into right field, and Mountain View is in business. Yoshida's base hit. And another tough ball. We talk about the sun. And Casey, here's another example. McCormick didn't see it until it was too late.
Now batting pitcher, number 9, Brian Cordero.
McCormick had a chance on that last play, as you see here on replay. He charged it, then stopped and tried to take it on the side and just got right by him.
So Yoshida with a single. That sends Renahan to second. The count 1-0 to Brian Cordero. Here's the pitch. And it's up high, and the count goes 2-0. So Mountain View starting to get some noise out of their fans. The hosts of this tournament trailing 5-0 in the bottom of the third. And Cordero pops this one up from his opposite number, and the count goes to 2-1. This is a situation right here where the shadows were especially tough because the ball coming off the bat is in shadows now. It's going to be tough to see for the infielders. They're going to have a late break on it. This is chopped to the shortstop, Nilo. He knocks it down, throws to third. Dropping the ball is Slagle. All hands safe. And Cordero keeps the rally going.
Key play for Mountain View to get the bases loaded with only one out. But now Palo Alto can draw the infield in, maybe get a home to first double play. Second baseman and the shortstop can go to double play depth. As you see Nilo try to come over, go to third. Just wasn't in time as the ball got past the third baseman, Slagle.
So Cordero reaching on the fielder's choice.
Number 33, Chris Runyon.
And Chris Runyon, who struck out looking on a full count his last time, stands in. And the first pitch to Runyon tails in for a called strike. It's 0-1. Yoshida with a lead from second. Renahan flanks him at third, and Cordero on the opposite side at first. Swing and a miss by Runyon, and he's down on the count 0-2. Everybody up in the Mountain View dugout. One out here in the third, and the base is loaded. And Runyon watches a pitch miss low and away. He gets a reprieve. The count goes to 1-2. So Rob McGregor into his first jam of the evening. Swing and a miss. Struck him out. So Runyon is taken care of. 2 gone in the inning. And Stephen Moore, the cleanup man, coming to the plate.
Now batting first baseman, number 30, Stephen Moore.
There's a lot for him to clean up. The bases are loaded. His club down by 5 runs. Here's McGregor's first offering, and it misses away on the count 1-0.
Remember, Stephen Moore is the only Mountain View player to have a base hit off of McGregor.
He leans away from a fastball up and away, and it's 2-0.
Moore is the kind of batter who is going to make solid contact on the ball. He's going to hit the ball hard. He's not going to do a little ground ball back to the pitcher.
Here's the 2-0, and it's up high, and Moore finds himself ahead 3-0. Slagle plays off the bag at third, allowing some room down the line. Also room down the line at first as Frost plays about 8 or 9 steps off, with the runner Cordero in front of him. Outfield playing straight away and deep. Here's the 3-0. Driver's seat pitch. Moore takes, and the count goes to 3-1.
This is a pitch, if you're Stephen Moore, you want to swing at. McGregor is going to come right down the middle of the plate with this pitch, and Moore's got to be there.
And Moore gets fooled on a breaking pitch, and the count goes full, 3-2. So the umpires just double checking the count with each other. It is indeed 3-2. Runners lead from every base for Mountain View. Now time is called. Seems that Rick Beckwith over in the Palo Alto dugout was disputing the count. Trying to get an extra strike up any way he can. 3-2 pitch. That's foul at the plate, and everyone will stay where they are. Renahan was better than 3/4 of the way down the line. Here's the 3-2 again. And it's chopped off the plate. Fair ball. No, it's foul. Ed Costa clarifies the call. It hit Moore's foot while Moore was still in the batter's box, so he's not out. Had it hit his foot when he had stepped out of the batter's box, he's out.
Nice call by the home plate umpire, Ed Costa.
Once you step out of the batter's box, and if the ball hits you or your bat, you're out. 3-2, misses outside. Renahan walks home with the first Mountain View run, and Stephen Moore ends a very dramatic at-bat with a walk.
Tough pitch to take there, George. That was right on the outside corner. Could have gone either way. Depends on the umpire that you have behind the plate.
So Yoshida now at third, Cordero now at second. Moore, the newcomer on the base paths at first. And Mike Olson, who struck out swinging his last time, stands in. Now goes back for some additional instructions. Tying run at the plate for Mountain View. 5-1 here, bottom of the third inning. Every seat is occupied on the base paths by a Mountain View base runner. Slagle comes in on the grass at third. And the first pitch to Moore, taken inside for a called strike. It's 0-1.
Remember to keep the ball down to Olson. He will hit it over your head into left field if you get him a high pitch.
So Moore looking for something good to hit. Steps out with the sun in his eyes. And Olson looking down for some more signs from Guinera. Moore at first, Cordero at second, Yoshida at third. Now everyone's ready. Olson swings and misses at a high fastball and goes down on the count 0-2. McGregor trying to get out of the inning with a strikeout, misses high, and it's 1-2. This is a situation where if you're Mountain View, you just don't want to settle for the one run being walked home. You want to get at least 1 or 2 by somebody putting the ball in play. Olson's going to try to do that. And did he swing? Yes, he did. Throw down to first. He was out anyways. And that'll end the inning. Mountain View settles for a run on a hit. They leave him loaded. And after 3, trail by 4. That's Brian Cordero's dad, wearing the baseball/chef's hat behind the barbecue. His son on the mound trying to serve up a masterpiece, but he's trailing by 4 runs, so he's going to have to do a little cleaning up in the kitchen first. He'll face the bottom third of the Palo Alto order here in the 4th, Nilo, Slagle, and McCormick. All 3 coming up for their 2nd time tonight. Palo Alto doing the damage early. 4 runs in the 1st, another in the 2nd. Mountain View settled for 1 after stranding 3 in the bottom of the 3rd. Everyone having a good time here tonight at McKelvey Park. Andy Nilo, who singled and drove in 2 runs his last time, will lead off.
That was a key inning for Palo Alto last inning. They got in a jam early with only 1 out and the bases loaded, and McGregor pitched out of it nicely, getting the last 2 strikeouts on Rennan and Olson.
Here's the 1-0, and it misses low. Cordero showing some trouble with his control early here in the 4th. We are yet to see action in the Mountain View bullpen, if you were thinking about that in the back of your mind at home. Here's the 2-0. Show of bunt, fastball taken for a strike, and it's 2-1. Very interesting right there, 2-0 count. Neither pitch really anywhere close, and a fastball, and the batter shows bunt. 2-1 to Nilo, misses at the knees, and it's now 3-1.
That's something you do as a hitter, George, to distract the pitcher from the strike zone. If you put the bat in front of the glove, it's harder for him to see the glove, and he has to throw around your bat.
So a little trickery going on. 3-1 pitch. Chopped wide of 3rd, and the count goes full. Any advantage you can get in this game and not get in trouble for it, you take.
Definitely.
The first thing they do in any sport is they teach you what the rules are. Then the next thing they teach you is how to get around the rules within the rules. Pitch misses low, and by all rules, that's a walk. So Nilo leads off the 4th with a free pass. The last time Cordero did that, he walked Giannini to open up the 1st. That turned out to be a death knell right there as he allowed 4 runs in that inning. Slagle stands in. He popped up to Renahan at 2nd to open the 2nd. Nilo with a short lead off first. Quick throw by Cordero. He's back. It was on this date in baseball history in 1990 that Melito Perez of the Chicago White Sox tied the major league record with the 7th no-hitter of the season as the Pale Hose beat the New York Yankees by a score of 8-0. It was only a 6-inning ball game. It was suspended because of rain. You have to keep that in mind. First pitch to Slagle up high for ball 1. We're not going to have a no-hitter here tonight. That's already been established. 1-0 pitch. Misses high on the count, 2-0. There ended up being 9 no-hitters that year in all of baseball, 7 of which were thrown in the American League, 2 in the National. Now time is called and Joe Guanera out of the dugout. So he's having a word with Cordero, and this could be it for the right-hander. Andy Hawkins that year had the no-hitter where he lost. All the runs were unearned. Lost 4-0 as the Yankees beat Chicago. That was on July 1st, and then Perez got revenge 12 days later in 6 innings, beating the Yankees in the Bronx 8-0. The other junior circuit no-hitters, and we'll get to them in a minute, and the 2 on the junior circuit we'll also talk about. Runner goes, throw to 2nd, gets away from Runyon. So Nilo will stay at 2nd as Olson's throw bounces away. 3-0 now, the count to Slagle. In the National League, Fernando Valenzuela beat the Cardinals 2-0 on June 29th. Called strike outside, it's 3-1 to Slagle. Terry Mulholland of the Phillies beat the Giants 6-0 on August 15th. 3-1 pitch from Slagle, runner away from 2nd. And he gets another free pass. So Cordero digging himself a hole that's getting deeper by the moment. Over on the American League side of things in 1990, Mark Langston, Randy Johnson, Nolan Ryan, and now we have another conference by Guanera. We'll step away. We'll tell you more about those no-hitters as we got a pitching change right here. Looks like Tyler Renahan coming on to take over from Mountain View when we return. Rick Beckwith not showing a smile yet. That's because it's not over yet. Now he breaks the ice right there and smiles. His club up by 4 runs with 2 runners on the base paths right here, looking for more with nobody out in the top of the 4th. Tyler Renahan has come on to do the pitching for Mountain View. Zach McDonald goes to second base. Greg Smith moves from third to center field. And Brian Cordero rounds out all the changes and takes over at third base. So Mike McCormick stands in. He flew out to McDonald in center field his last time. First pitch taken at the belt for a strike. It's 0-1. The other 1990 strikeouts in the AL, Nolan Ryan, Bob Malicki, hooking up with Mike Flanagan and Mark Williamson and Greg Olson. Nolan Ryan, Dave Stewart, Dave Steve. Chopper in front of the plate, dropped by Olson. He has no play, and the bases are loaded. So Nilo goes down to third, Slagle to second, and McCormick on the little chopper out in front of the place finds first. Take another look right here.
Next up, top of the order.
Olson comes out of the crouch position very well. He comes down barehanded and just hits off the tip of his fingers. And he couldn't regain in time to get McCormick at first.
Always a tough play for the catcher to make. Bases loaded, and Giannini, the top of the order, standing in. Randy Johnson also threw one. Mark Langston and Mike Witt also hooked up. California over Seattle. This is well hit, right field, base hit, and Palo Alto is going to add to their lead. Coming home to score is Nilo. Following him is Slagle, and the ball gets away, finally picked up by Cordero in foul territory. Ending up at second base is Giannini. Give him a single. He goes to second on the throw. Going to third is McCormick. Take a look right there. So that makes it a 7-1 ball game. The 7th run in the person of Slagle crossing the plate.
I think we're going to have a defensive switch here, George. Chris Yoshida is going to come in to catch. So
while they change the catcher's gear, we'll step away and take a break on KMVT. Chris Yoshida looking for a mirror as he finishes putting on the catcher's gear. He takes over from Mike Olson. Olson moving out to center field. Greg Smith only got to stay in center field for one batter. He moves to right. So Joe Guanera only leaving 3 people where they started when the game began. Garcia in left, Runyon at short, and Moore at first. Everyone else is playing a game of musical fielding positions. Now Rob McGregor bats. 2 in, 2 on, no outs. Top of the 4th. And the first pitch from Renahan tails in for a called strike. 0-1 to McGregor.
What Renahan has to do right now is look where his fielding team is playing. Greg Smith is way off the line in right field, as well as Mike Garcia in left field. So an inside pitch down the left field line, that's going to cause trouble for Renahan.
0-1 outside, and it misses, and it's 1-1. Remember, Rob McGregor is the guy who made Brian Cordero pay dearly twice, a single and a double, both the opposite way. And with runners at second and third, a base hit to right field usually scores 2. Jeff Marquez awaits on deck. McGregor late on that one. He went around and goes down on the count 1-2. The inning started out with walks to Nilo and Slagle. Nilo did steal second while Slagle was batting. McCormick singled to load the bases with a little tapper out in front of the plate. And then Giannini single drove in 2. He goes to second on the throw home. Chopper to short. Runyon looks the runner back from second, throws on to first for the first out of the top of the 4th.
Nice play by Runyon there, making sure the the runner on third base stayed in his spot, then made sure he got the out at first base.
So 1 away here in the 4th. Still runners at second and third. And Jeff Marquez comes up. Marquez looking for his first hit of the night. He's flown to center and struck out looking. Swing and a miss, and it's 0-1.
Renahan coming with a knuckleball there to Marquez. Kind of fooled him.
Renahan likes to throw that knuckler, but in weird situations. Sometimes he throws it ahead in the count, sometimes he opens with it, sometimes he throws it when he's behind. It's not always a dependable pitch for him.
I've noticed in the first game the Mountain View played against Palo Alto when Renahan pitched, he threw that knuckleball a lot to Marquez, and we can see that he's doing it again here.
So he's gone over with one, missed with one, tries another. And it's a fastball at the belt. Over for a strike, it's 1-2. Devin Holloway is on deck. So Renahan ahead in the count, 1-2, deals here. That one's up high, no one's gonna swing at that, it's 2-2.
Came with the knuckleball again and lost it up high for a ball.
That's one of those situations you really can't predict when he's gonna use it. Right there, ahead 1-2, good opportunity, but it misses. Now the count's even. Fastball at the belt is fouled off. Over towards left field. Everyone running for it, but no one catching it. And it's 2-2.
Nice hustle by Mike Garcia and Chris Runyon. Runyon going way over into foul territory in left field, but just couldn't make it in time.
A lot of foul ground here at McKelvey Park, and everything that's covered by grass is considered in play. There's no catch and carry here unless you go up onto the asphalt. No out of play line to speak of. Chopper back to the mound. Renahan looks the runner back from third. Throw to first is late and not in time as Marquez gets there safely.
That was the correct call by the umpire in the field. Marquez, as you see here on the replay, just does beat out the throw from Renahan.
And it's the look by Cordero that costs him the out at first. I mean, down by 6 runs, you do have to look the runner back, and you got to put the fear of God into McCormick. Sometimes in doing it, you sacrifice an out at first. So Devin Holloway, who has a double and a strikeout tonight, stands in. He's driven in a pair of runs. And check swing and a pitch in the dirt, and it's 1-0. That's one of the toughest things you can do in baseball, Casey, as a fielder, is get that good look to move a runner back to a base or to keep him from advancing.
That's when you need to have a strong arm to first base. It's unorthodox as a fielder to pick up the ball, look somewhere else, and then still have time to throw to first base and get the out.
It's also very tough because you're looking one way, you're planning one way, and then you got to turn your momentum around and go elsewhere. And a lot of the players don't have the upper body strength at 13 or 14 to do that. 1-1 pitch. Misses inside, that's 2-1. A lot of guys, even in their 20s, don't have the upper body strength or the coordination. That's awfully tough. Bases loaded with Palo Alto runners, infield in. And Renahan's knuckler misses inside, and he falls behind 3-1. Now that pitch had the knuckleball look to it. Had that wobble. Kind of like if you try to throw a football with a couple of fingers taped together. You don't exactly get the spin on it.
As you see Renahan there, taking his time, calming down. Now he's going to try to come back and throw a strike to Holloway.
Nilo with a lead from third. Nilo scored, Slagle scored, McCormick with the lead from third. And a called strike on the outside corner. And Holloway is through. 2 down now in the inning. Holloway had everyone fooled right there. He walked back to the dugout like he struck out. Instead, it was only strike 2.
Now anything close by Renahan is going to be called a strike by the home plate umpire. You never want to do that. You never want to show up an umpire like that because he'll remember it.
So 3-2. Let's check Ed Costa's memory. You don't need to check it right there. Swing and a miss. Now Holloway is done. Now there are 2 outs.
Big strikeout by Renahan to get the second out of the inning. Still bases loaded and still a threat with Govan, but a big out there by Renahan.
Now Govin comes to the plate. Pair of
Now
comebackers
batting
tonight.
pitcher number 4, Doug Govin.
One of the few guys Cordero was able to get out consistently, and Renahan will try to follow in Cordero's footsteps. Chopper to short, Runyon up with it, flip to second, McDonald for the force, and that'll end the inning. But 2 more runs for Palo Alto on 3 hits. They leave 3 and lead by a half dozen through 3.5. Conference between the managers and the umpires between innings. Nobody was tossed and nothing monumental was decided out there. Each coach did make a change. Trevor Rafferty is now in right field for Palo Alto. He'll bat in the 4 spot that was occupied by Holloway. For Mountain View, Nick Martinez will hit for Greg Smith, who will follow the batter we're looking at right now, Mike Garcia. Garcia ahead in the count 2-0 against Rob McGregor, the right-hander into his 4th inning of work. And a ball inside, and it's 3-0. So Smith, who started the game at third base, then went to center field, and then went to right after all of the pitching and catching changes were over and done with, will be lifted for the pinch hitter right here as Garcia trots down to first.
This is a time for Nick Martinez to come through for his team. He hasn't had many at-bats in this tournament.
Attention, please. Pinch hitting.
So now is the time for him to come through and show for Mountain View that he is truly an
In
all-star.
the 7th position, number 12, Nick Martinez.
So Martinez will stand in right here. He didn't bat last night against Palo Alto. Looking at my scorebook, he batted once against Mount Tri-Cities back on Saturday. He struck out in the 6th. So a big chance right here for someone who spent most of the tournament on the bench. And he wastes no time getting to know McGregor, swings at the first pitch and goes down on the count 0-1. McGregor with a check of the runner comes home. Martinez lifts this one to right center. It'll drop in for a base hit. Garcia rounding second on his way to third. McGregor picks up the loose ball. And there'll be runners at the corners. So Martinez getting a pinch hit right there. And if Mountain View should score in this inning, you could really say it was a pinch hit. See it dropping in right there. When I say pinch, I mean in a pinch, they get the hit that they need.
Now batting second baseman, number 1, Zach McDonald.
And when you need to get some lightning off the bench, you want to have somebody who can deliver. And deliver right away. 3rd hit of the night for Mountain View. And Zach McDonald at the plate. He popped out to Nilo at short his last time. Embry had the double last night, left field. Martinez goes from first, throw back to the mound. And nothing happening to get the runner, steals second. Now also remember about McDonald, he's a very good bunter. And he could lay down a bunt right here, perhaps a suicide squeeze. And he chops this one. Will it stay fair? It rolls, it stays fair. And McDonald's safe at first, coming home to score Garcia. On to third, Martinez. And Mountain View manufactures a run.
I don't really understand there. George Weiss Slagle at third base didn't let this ball go foul. You can see it here. He picks it up on the edge of the grass. That definitely would have gone foul if he would have let it go.
And that's why I kept saying it's rolling, it's rolling. It looked like it was going to roll foul, and it looked like to me that Slagle picked it up on top of the line. And the way the field is sloped here for drainage towards the dugouts, that's going to tell you one thing. It's eventually going to roll foul.
Number 11, Tyler
And Casey,
Renahan.
you're exactly right. Slagle not thinking right there. Costs his club a run. Rick Beckwith came out and had a word with Rob McGregor right after that, so that's a charged visit. Now Tyler Renahan will bat. Runners at first and third, nobody out, 1 in the inning. Mountain View trailing by 5.
I think the reason that Rick Beckwith came out to talk to his pitcher was to just calm him down after that last play. He seemed pretty disoriented after Slagle cut that ball off at third base.
that's one of those things. It's not the pitcher's fault that his third baseman was absent-minded, but it's still his ball game, and it's still his opportunity to get frustrated. Runner goes from first, swing and a miss. Quick throw down to third. Martinez back, McDonald down to second. So Renahan down on the count 0-1. And he leans back from one, and the count goes even, 1-1. This is another situation. Renahan's somebody who can bunt pretty decently. You might opt suicide squeeze, with Slagle holding the runner to the bag at third, now backing off. Here's the 1-1. And it's high, and the count goes to 2-1. Big chance for Renahan right here. And he hits this one back to the box through the middle. It's dropped by Nilo. One run comes home in the person of Martinez. McDonald on to third, and nobody can get a glove on that ball for Palo Alto.
Now is the time for Mountain View to get some runs across the board. They got the top of the order coming up. They've already scored 2 runs in this inning. No outs, as you see here on replay. Up the middle, just couldn't handle it was Nilo. And Renahan beat out at first base.
So an error charge to Nilo at short. McGregor thought he had a chance. Nilo thought he had a chance. Neither of them were anywhere close. So Martinez back in the dugout. He scores the inning's second run, the third of the night for Mountain View. They now trail by 4, 7-3. And Chris Yoshida stands in. Yoshida singled his last time. Swings and misses at a high fastball. Throw down to third. Gets past Slagle. Here comes McDonald to the plate. Into third safely goes Renahan. And it's a 7-4 ball game. That's why you got to be careful when you throw the ball down to third base.
Things starting to fall apart for the Palo Alto defense. And here comes the coach, Rick Beckwith, out to make sure that the pitcher does not get frustrated. Here you see on a replay, Govan throws to third behind Slagle and behind the runner McDonald, allowing the ball to go into left field and McDonald to come around and score and Renahan to move to third base.
Jeff Marquez is trotting in from left field. He's going to get the ball, and we return. Take over on the mound for Palo Alto. Joe Guinera, the Mountain View head coach, has watched 3 of his players run by him in the 4th inning and score.
0-1 right move.
0-1 count as Marquez comes on to pitch to Yoshida. McGregor's moved to third, Slagle to left field, chopped right to McGregor. He comes home with the throw. Govan with the tag, Renahan out on the fielder's choice. 5-2 for the first out.
What a play by McGregor at third base. From his knees, spinning, does a 360 and throws home to get Renahan, who didn't look up when he was running. He just put his head down and charged for the plate. You see it here. McGregor dives for the ball, stays on the ground, spins and throws from his knees.
And the first pitch by Cordero, lifted foul right side. Govan holds on for the out.
And all of a sudden, George, this is the 2-out game. This is the 2-out inning with only a runner on first base. And Chris Runyon up, who's struck out twice in the game.
So Govan with both of the putouts. And you got to ask yourself something, Casey. Was McGregor taken out to pitch to take over at third defensively rather than it being just a pitching change after that stellar defensive play? Runner goes from first, chopper wide of the bag at first, and Runyon starts out 0-1.
I think that had something to do with it, George. Rick Beckwith, the coach for Palo Alto, knew that he needed somebody defensively at third base. He was going to make a pitching change anyways, so why not put McGregor at third base?
Whitson had a tough time there the last couple of nights. Slagle was having an okay time there this evening, but McGregor with a gold glove effort And he buys some breathing room for himself and Palo Alto with that play. We're still talking about it an out later. 0-2 right here to Runyon. And you got to give some credit to Marquez, the man on the mound, as he gets Runyon to swing and miss. So Marquez comes on, puts out the fire. Mountain View comes up with 3 runs on 2 hits. They leave 1. There were a couple of Palo Alto errors. And through 4, it's 7-4, Palo Alto on top. Mountain View trying to make this one close. 4 runs in the last 2 innings after Palo Alto was spotted the 5-0 lead. The one number you don't see up there that's especially potent for Mountain View is that they've left 5 runners on the base paths, including leaving them loaded in the 3rd. They're going to try to keep runners off here in the top of the 5th. Pat Frost, Andy Nilo, and Mike Slagle to face Tyler Renahan.
For Palo Alto, first baseman number 21.
And the first pitch, knuckleball, swung and missed. And it's 0-1. But you talk about stellar efforts. Rob McGregor with a stellar effort with the glove. Devin Holloway. I should check myself right there. Jeff Marquez coming on with the big effort pitching. Gets the grounder to 3rd, the pop up to the catcher, then the strikeout. Rally over for Mountain View. Not much damage done to the lead. Foul back, and the count goes to 1-2 on Frost.
But Mountain View did that inning, George, is what they had to do. They need to start chipping away at the lead and make sure that Palo Alto doesn't score any more runs here in the 5th.
Marquez had the shutout win the other night for Palo Alto. He beat San Carlos 4-0, struck out 7, only allowed 4 hits. Went the distance in that one. Count still 1-2 to Frost. Could we see a knuckleball right here from Nilo? That misses low. And the count evens at 2-2. So Renahan trying to do his own firefighting for Mountain View. Deals 2-2. Nilo on deck and misses high, and the count goes full. So 4 runs in the first, 1 in the second, 2 in the 4th for Palo Alto, 1 in the 3rd, 3 in the 4th for Mountain View. That's how we arrived at 7-4. Renahan with the payoff. Inside, foul back. And the count stays full. So time is called. Rick Beckwith comes home to have a word with Ed Costa, the home plate umpire. Let's see what the problem is. They're going to go out and have a talk with Renahan, and now Dave Inanguez comes over. And now Joe Guanera out of the dugout to find out what's going on as well. So time has been called on the field. Everybody's walked in from their different fielding positions. Now the umpires are going to retreat. Now Joe Guanera is going to want his explanation. He's entitled to one to find out what's going on, since Costa hasn't said anything to him yet. Rick Beckwith pointing towards his own dugout.
He said that he wanted one of his players to get his rule book.
So while they get the rule book, we're going to step away and take a break. You're watching the Babe Ruth playoffs on KMVT. You're never going to guess what the problem was when we had to step away and take a break and everyone on the field went to sidebar. This is fouled off down the left-hand side of the field, and Ed Costa puts another baseball into play. The problem was Renahan did not have a baseball. And Rick Beckwith said if the pitcher goes to the mound, doesn't have a baseball, he should be ejected. And Pat Frost draws the walk after a tough at-bat. So first runner aboard here in the 5th, and Andy Nilo to the plate. So Renahan did not have a baseball. Beckwith wanted a toss. Dave Inanguez said he wasn't on the rubber, therefore he doesn't get the early shower. They found a couple of more baseballs to stock him up, but they are running short here this evening. Throw down to second, and arriving there safely is Frost ahead of the throw. I thought they were going to have to throw somebody some car keys and send them out to a mall and hope it was open, Casey.
Something like that, because the coach from Palo Alto was thinking up of anything, and the outfield umpire straightened the situation out without any further interruptions.
Little tapper behind short. It'll drop in for a base hit. Frost rounds third. He stops there. Looks back at the whole situation. Nilo aboard with the base hit at first. And so runners at the corners. Now time is called. They call the game baseball. You need to have one, but first of all, the replay on the base hit by Nilo.
You see here, Nilo just taps it out into left center field. You don't need to hit the ball very hard to get a base hit. Moves the runner over and does his job.
So Mike Slagle will come to the plate. He's popped to second and walked and scored this evening.
Now batting left fielder, number 20, Mike Slagle.
Palo Alto looking for some insurance here in the top of the fifth, leading 7-4. Trying to keep Mountain View looking in their tail lights. Throw down a second in time, and they get Nilo. So Yoshida's arm up to the test right there. Nilo is out. Caught stealing. One away. Frost still at third. And Slagle with an 0-1 count, stepping back in. Did he go? Yes, he did. So 0-2 now to Slagle. So Frost down at third, watching a runner gunned down at second. Now the batter down on the count 0-2. This is popped up, and it'll go foul on the screen, and the count will stay 0-2.
Renahan's starting to fall in love with that knuckleball. It's beginning to work for him, and he has more control over it. So if he can get that over, he's going to fool a lot of the Palo Alto hitters.
Control and knuckleball, often two words that don't belong in the same sentence. And there's one on the inside for a called strike 3, so 2 gone.
That almost looked like a knuckle curve, George. I can see it coming off of his hands as if it was held as a
Now
knuckleball.
batting second baseman, number 1, Mike McCormick.
So
But-
Mike,
Excuse me, had the spin of a curveball and did curve inside the inside corner of the plate.
So Mike McCormick comes to the plate with 2 outs and a runner on third in the person of Frost. He's flown to left and singled tonight. And the first pitch, tapped towards third. Cordero, did he catch it? Yes, he did. That'll end the inning. Palo Alto fails to get any insurance. They get a hit, but they strand one in the top of the fifth. Mountain View is going to try to chop into that 3-run deficit when we return. Good view from behind home plate. Stephen Moore down on the count 0-1 as we begin the bottom of the fifth. And he taps the Marquez fastball to third. Long throw from McGregor in time at first. So Jeff Marquez has set down the last 3 he's faced.
Nice play going into the hole by McGregor.
Now batting
Down
center
the third
fielder,
baseline.
number 36, Mike
Backhanded
Olson.
it. Still had time to plant his feet and throw out more at first base.
So Mike Olson, who struck out twice against McGregor, will try to change his luck against Marquez. He takes the first pitch, a fastball over at the belt for a called strike 1. Marquez comes with nothing but heat. Another searing fastball misses outside. It's 1-1. Marquez, a pitcher who doesn't like to waste any time. Right now probably growling at his catcher Govan for not getting the ball back fast enough. Very quick worker on the mound.
Please return foul balls to the scores.
Here's his 1-1. And it comes inside and it comes in hard, and it's 2-1. So Mountain View down by 3, 7-4, looking to chip away. And Marquez might be what keeps them from doing it. Called strike outside. The count goes even at 2-2. Marquez, you say he restored order in the fourth. Well, he restored a lot of order. They could have used him at Madison Square Garden last night after that Riddick-Bowe fight. Called strike inside. He gets Olson looking, and there are two gone.
Nice curveball by Marquez. Broke at the last minute. Olson didn't know what happened. The ball had gotten by his eyesight, and just at the last moment curved over the strike zone, as you see on the replay. Olson shocked at that call.
Now batting left fielder,
But it definitely
number
was a
28,
strike
Mike
on the inside
Garcia.
corner.
So Garcia standing in. And he takes the first pitch for a strike. He didn't know it hit him there either. But Marquez came into the ball game after Palo Alto had surrendered 3 runs and really closed the door on Mountain View, and that's probably the understatement of the night. In the fourth, Mountain View had put the first 4 runners, make it the first 5 runners aboard. The first 3 scored. They gunned down Renahan at the plate, McGregor throwing home. Then on the next pitch, after Yoshida had grounded to third and McGregor had come home to get Renahan, Cordero popped one to the catcher, Govan, on the right side. Then a 3-pitch strikeout to Runyon. That was all she wrote. 0-2 right here to Garcia. Looking for another strikeout, and it's chopped off the plate. Govan with a tough play, loses it on the grass. Marquez tries to throw down, but he sends it wide and long. So he isn't untouchable. He isn't perfect. He gives up a runner with 2 outs.
Nice heads-up play by the right fielder, Trevor Rafferty. As you see the ball chopped off the plate by Mike Garcia. Govan overruns it, then the ball goes into right field, and you see the right fielder coming over to cut off the ball, holding Garcia to first base.
So 4 straight retired by Marquez. That streak ends. And he misses with the first pitch to Martinez, 1-0. Martinez had that pinch hit single in the fourth. And another pitch that misses just off of the plate, and it's 2-0. Martinez is taken over in right field for Smith. And there's that fastball at the belt, and that's called a strike. It's 2-1.
What I've noticed with Marquez is that he hides the ball very well. He pauses at about his chest area, and then he doesn't come out of that position until he's ready to come home.
He tries it again. Runner goes, throw to second. And a lot of aerobatics and a safe call. The pitch was outside of the strike zone, so Martinez goes ahead 3-1. Garcia with a short lead. This is well hit to left. Long run for Slagle. It gets past him. Garcia turns third. He comes home and scores. Martinez stands up with 2 and an RBI. It's now a 2-run ball game.
Here you see it again. Martinez pulls the ball way over the left fielder's head, and Garcia doesn't stop running. 2 outs, so he left on the crack of the bat, and Martinez holds up at second with a double.
Number 1, Zach McDonald.
So just when you thought Marquez was invincible, he starts to go the way of the Bismarck. And the first pitch to McDonald, taken over at the belt for a strike, 0-1.
The key now for Marquez is to keep his composure and keep throwing strikes as he has in the earlier innings.
This is chopped towards third. McGregor picks it up, throws to first, and it's held onto by Frost for the out. But Mountain View comes up with 1 more run on 2 hits. They strand run. They're down by 2 through 5. Tyler Renahan with the knuckleball, the knuckle curve, And a couple of other good pitches trying to keep this a 2-run ball game. He's got a tough slate ahead of him, though. The top of the Palo Alto order due, and he's behind in the count quickly to open the 6th to Joe Giannini. The count 1-0 to the center fielder, left-handed batter. And that one misses at the knees. It's 2-0. But Casey and I were talking a couple innings ago. Casey, what year were you born in again?
82.
82. About that time, there was a fella pitching for the Los Angeles Dodgers that threw a pitch called the knuckle curve named Bert Hooten. And there were a lot of the people who were watching this game today who were Giants fans. That name probably just shocks their system.
Yes, I've heard a lot about him. I heard he was a giant killer.
3-0 here to Giannini. And a called strike at the knees. And it's 3-1. Before the split finger pitch was the hot pitch of the 80s, the pitch that everybody wanted to learn was the knuckle curve that Bert Hooten threw for the Dodgers. And a big swing by Giannini, and it's 3-2. Hooten, a guy during the '78 playoff race along with Bob Welch. The Giants had been anywhere from 3 to 4 games ahead of the Dodgers. They were an afterthought. Chopper to first. Moore with it. Calls off Renahan for the out. So 1 away, and Rob McGregor will come up.
The key for Mountain View in this inning, George, is to hold Palo Alto. It seems like Mountain View's coming away with the momentum in this game. And if Mountain View were to hold Palo Alto in this inning, it would be much to their advantage.
So George Devine along with young Casey McGuire here in the KMVT booth. I remember Bert Hooten growing up. Hated to hear that name. Swung on down the left field line and foul. Had I grown up in the Los Angeles area, I really wouldn't have noticed that he was a giant killer because he beat everybody in the National League. Beat them pretty senseless in the late 70s, early 80s. It's a great Dodger pitching staff. Tommy John was on that staff. Tom Niedenfuhr, Fernando Valenzuela. Swung on left field, could be trouble, but Garcia comes on, makes the catch. There are 2 away. So Jeff Marquez, who's now the pitcher, will try to see if he's got some power in his bat too.
Pitcher, number 16,
He's got
Jeff
definite pop in his
Marquez.
bat there, George. He hit one out when I was here the other day against Belmont, and he almost hit one out against San Carlos 2 days ago.
No home runs in our KMVT games in the Babe Ruth tournament so far. And now Yoshida will go out and have a word with Renahan. Sometimes the best way to spell a power hitter is with a knuckleball. Sometimes they'll just swing really hard. The knuckleball will hit the bat in such a funny way. It'll drop right in front of the plate. Everyone's looking up when they should be looking down. And the ball travels a net total of about 15 feet.
That's why we've seen Renahan throw the knuckleball to Marquez every time he's been up. And just then he started him off with the knuckleball that dropped 2 feet in front of the plate.
The knuckleball is not only a challenging pitch for the hitter, but for the catcher as well. Yoshida's had a couple get away from him. You can't see this at home very clearly, so I'm going to tell you about it. Yoshida has a black glove with an orange target around the outside of it to help Renahan a little bit. And with a dive, that's Cordero. He knocks it down, long throw, not in time.
Another great play by Brian Cordero down at third base, stopping Marquez from a definite double.
And the key right there with 2 outs, we're going to watch it right here. Cordero dives towards the line, knocks it down. Doesn't get Marquez at first, but the most important thing is he doesn't give up extra bases.
Right fielder, number 5, Trevor Rafferty.
Now, either Rafferty, who's coming up now, is going to have to do something so that you can get Marquez into scoring position and keep the inning alive, or else Marquez is going to have to steal a base himself. So, even though Cordero doesn't get any credit for an assist or anything fancy like that, and a quick throw over to first, it almost gets away from Moore.
That's one thing you don't want to do if you're Tyler Renahan. You don't want to throw over to first base and throw it away. You can throw it over there, keep Marquez close, keep him honest, as they say, but you don't want to throw it out of play and have him run to third base.
1-0 to Rafferty. especially after Cordero prevents him from getting extra bases with that nice play. There's the catcher's glove I was talking about, that orange target that Yoshida puts up. You see that glove a lot at the lower levels of the game. It's a good instructional tool, especially at a night game. The Day-Glo Caltrans orange, as I call it, they use on traffic cones, makes a nice target with the black contrast.
When I was on Chris Yoshida's Little League team, he bought that glove when he was about 11 years old. So I guess it was a lucky glove because we won the championship that year, so I guess he's kept it ever since.
It's scary, though, when you see that orange outline glove in the major leagues. I don't know if they have any of those in Detroit this year. Pitch inside, Marquez is going. The ball comes off of Runyon's glove, but Marquez stays put at second.
Very few catchers use that kind of glove. They figure, forget the flash, forget the fancy, just get something to catch the ball with.
So Renahan down 3-0 right here. Perhaps the knuckle curve is in order, perhaps a fastball over. He goes fastball and misses high and surrenders first to Rafferty. So you got Giannini with a grounder to first, then McGregor with a line drive to left, then surrendered the infield hit to Marquez, now the walk to Rafferty. 2 on, 2 out, and Dave Govan coming to the plate.
Now batting catcher, number 4, Dave Govan.
So Govan tonight, a pair of comebackers to Cordero, and then hit into a fielder's choice that ended the 4th inning, as Marquez was forced ahead of him at second base. Runyon going to McDonald in that situation. 0-2 pitch, misses outside. Marquez is moving, and so is Rafferty. So the wild pitch enables Palo Alto to acquire some more real estate on the base paths. And now Joe Guanera is going to ask Tyler Renahan how much he's got left in that arm, if he's got any left. So the conference ends. They're going to stick with Renahan for the moment. Now that Rafferty and Marquez have each moved up on the base paths. And Govan is ahead in the count 1-0. Here's the pitch. Swung on towards first. There to make the catch is Moore. So Moore with a couple of defensive gems over at first base. A hit, a walk, 2 left in the 6th for Palo Alto. Mountain View still close, still in the rearview mirror, trying to come back when we return. Mountain View won't go away. They trail 7-5. We're in the bottom of the 6th. Tyler Renahan will lead the inning off. Chris Yoshida and Brian Cordero will follow against Jeff Marquez, who's only surrendered a pair of hits and a run since taking over in the 4th. That was the 4th inning when Mountain View picked up 3 runs. To make it a 7-4 ball game, they picked up another in the 5th to make it 7-5. So Mountain View just won't get out of the rearview mirror for Palo Alto. They won't go away. And Renahan hits this one towards short. Nilo is there for the out. There's one away. So Nilo, who surrendered the error to Renahan last time and allowed a run to score, is Johnny on the spot right there. Right now, Chris Yoshida will stand in. Yoshida tonight has struck out, singled, and reached on a fielder's choice, 1 for 3.
Catcher, number 40, Chris Yoshida.
And the first pitch from Marquez misses outside. It's 1-0. Yoshida was the first batter to face Marquez in the 4th. He hit that grounder to McGregor at third, who came home for the out on Renahan. Swing and a miss right there, and the count evens at 1-1.
Marquez has an odd breaking curveball. He has a sidearm delivery, so it comes up and then breaks down again. It fools a lot of the right-handed batters.
So a lot of movement on his pitches. Here's the 1-1, and it's moving all over the place. And Yoshida bites. unsuccessfully on the count 1-2.
The thing that Marquez does is he gets the batters to lean out in front of the plate on the outside corner, and then he comes back inside and blows it by him inside.
So I'll give it another try right here. 1-2 pitch. Upstairs, and the count evens to 2-2. One of the things we talked about the knuckleball with Renahan is the movement on that pitch, sort of the wobble that it takes confuses the batters. When you can get an off-speed pitch that comes from a different location than the batters are used to seeing it released from, the movement there can hurt too. And that one hurts. Called strike 3. Yoshida goes back to the bench. Second strikeout since Marquez, make it the third strikeout since Marquez took over.
Baseman, number 9, Brian Cordero.
And Brian Cordero popped to the catcher his last time up on the first pitch he saw from Marquez, stands in. 7 runs on 9 hits. Palo Alto has committed 3 errors. Mountain View, 5 runs on 6 hits without an error in the field tonight. That's chopped at the plate. Mountain View's left a half dozen on the base paths. Palo Alto with 1 more, so 6 and 7 in that department. Remember, Mountain View leaving the bases loaded in the 3rd. That could have been a much bigger inning than it was. They settled for 1 run. Very reluctantly, they settled for it. 0-1 pitch. Misses low and away, and it's 1-1. Cordero chops this one to McGregor at 3rd. He's up with it on to 1st. Marquez deals him 1-2-3. Mountain View sees a chance go by in the 6th. Palo Alto will be shopping for insurance when we return in the top of the 7th. The lights have taken their full effect at McKelvey Park. 7th inning about to begin. Palo Alto holding on to the lead. Mountain View with 5 runs in 3 of the last 4 innings. Both teams being shut out in the 6th. But Tyler Renahan on to pitch the 7th. He's in relief of Brian Cordero, started it out for Mountain View. His first pitch to Pat Frost misses high on the count 1-0. So each club with a win against each other so far in this tournament. This, their 3rd meeting, will decide the champion. Popped up, left side. Runyon from short comes in, makes the catch, 1 gone. It was 7-1 Mountain View when they met for the first time. Then 9-2 Palo Alto in the first double elimination game. Now Dave Whitson comes out. He'll pinch hit for Nilo. So Whitson, who had a rough tournament defensively at 3rd, will try to put his bat to work right here.
Hitting is number 6, Dave Whitson.
And Whitson takes a strike outside, and it's 0-1.
You can see Whitson gets in a low crouch position when he's up there batting, and you can notice Renahan's motion. He comes down a lot lower to throw the low strike.
Time is called. And Ed Costa steps back in. Now Whitson steps back in. We're ready to play baseball. Renahan to deal the 0-1 out of that crouch position. Misses low, and it's 1-1. But Mountain View could have wrapped it up by beating Palo Alto last night. Instead, Palo Alto notched the win. That's why we're here this evening. That misses away, and the count is 2-1.
Palo Alto scored the same number of runs last night, 7 coming into this inning, and then they scored 2 more to make it 9-2.
That's right, a big 7th inning last night for Palo Alto. Another nail in the Mountain View coffin. 3-1 now to Whitson. Slagle scheduled to appear next. But it looks like we've got a pinch hitter coming out. Whitson draws the walk. So he gets him in business.
Now batting
and it will be Slagle.
20, Mike Slagle.
So Mountain View behind by 2, trying to keep it at a 2-run deficit here in the top of the 7th. Palo Alto would like to get themselves some insurance. Anytime you're up by 2, you're looking at the proposition in the bottom half of the final inning of having, if a runner is on, the tying run at the plate. Called strike to Slagle, and the count evens at 1-1. Looking ahead to the bottom of the 7th, it'll be Runyon, Moore, and Olson. The 3, 4, and 5 spots, heart of the order for Mountain View to bat in their last chance. 1-1 runs inside and misses, and it's 2-1. Short lead by Whitson at first. Here's Renahan's delivery. It's fouled back, and the count goes even at 2-2.
The one thing you have to remember, George, about the heart of the order of Mountain View is that Runyon and Olson have all struck out 3 times at their at-bat, so they're not really a factor unless they can figure out the pitches that Marquez is going to throw to them.
So the heart of the order looking more like the bottom of the order with all those strikeouts. 2-2 pitch, lifted towards third. Cordero, a couple steps in on the grass, makes the catch. And they're 2 away via infield fly balls. So Mike McCormick comes to the plate with 2 outs here in the 7th.
But the other thing you can think about the Mountain View batters is that they could be due for a hit. So you never know what's going to happen in the bottom of the 7th inning.
Remember, if you are successful 3 times that at 10, that helps you at the arbitration table. And for every 3 hits, there are 7 times you're not successful. First strike pitch to McCormick is a called strike. It's 0-1. Sometimes those are strikeouts. Sometimes they're ground outs. Sometimes, well, sometimes you don't get on. 0-1 pitch. Tap towards third. Cordero on the grass, picks it up, throws to first for the out. So Palo Alto fails to pick up any insurance here on the top of the 7th. They strand 1. Last chance for Mountain View when we return. Joe Guinera pacing like an expectant father. Everybody standing up in the Mountain View dugout. They trail by a pair of runs, 7-5 here in the bottom of the 7th. Jeff Marquez, though, is going to try to maintain order with Chris Runyon, Stephen Moore, and Mike Olson, the 3, 4, and 5 heart of that Mountain View order coming to the plate. Runyon has struck out 3 times tonight. Olson has struck out 3 times tonight. Moore, the only one with a hit among the bunch. He's 1 for 2. So as Casey was pointing out, somebody could be due this inning. And so Marquez is being asked to hold the store, hold on to the win, and hold on to a nice Palo Alto effort after losing to Mountain View in the 2nd round. Coming back, beating San Carlos, then beating Mountain View once and trying to do it again.
What I've noticed with Marquez, George, is that he's gotten stronger towards the later parts of the inning. He starts off very rocky with the first 2 batters of the inning, and then he settles down, starts throwing strikes, and gets the final 3 outs.
So Chris Runyon stands in, trying to avoid striking out for the 4th time tonight. And Marquez paints him at the knees, and it's 0-1.
Frustration might be settling in for Runyon. He thought that ball was outside. He just got to keep his composure and just make solid contact on this next pitch.
Chopped to short. Nilo boots it. And safe at first is Runyon. So Mountain View in business, tying run at the plate. This is why.
Here you see on a replay, ground ball to short. Nilo boots it, tries to regain, but he can't get there in time. Now Joe Guinero's got to be careful. He doesn't want to make the first out of the inning at second base by telling Chris Runyon to steal. That run's not going to tie the game or put you ahead, so you have to be careful.
The man you got to worry about represents the tying run. He's at the plate and ahead in the count 1-0, Stephen Moore. So Runyon aboard because of the error. That misses low. Runyon on his way to second. The throw not in time into center field, but cut off by McCormick, the second baseman, who went onto the on-field grass to contain that. So a stolen base for Runyon moves him into scoring position. Moore goes ahead in the count 2-0.
Marquez has got to really keep his composure right now. He's upset that ball got away. Seems as Runyon might be hurt at second base.
So Joe Guinera is out to check on his base runner and see if he's all right out there at second. Everybody on the edge of their seat here at McKelvey Park. And Chris Runyon appears to be all right, takes a few steps off the bag. We're set to go again. The count 2-0 to Stephen Moore. Marquez with the check of the runner, comes home with it. Chopper to McGregor at third, under his glove. Nilo behind him at short, throws, not in time. Runners at the corners. So the left side of the Palo Alto infield can't catch a break here in the bottom of the seventh. The tying run now aboard. So Nilo, despite backing up McGregor, couldn't get the runner out at first. So an error and a hit in the inning. Runners at the corners. And now a pinch hitter for Mountain View. This is Ian Bailey coming up for Mike Olson.
Bailey's got some nice pop in his bat. I remember I was on his Babe Ruth team during the season. He hit the ball to the fence on a fly at least 2 times. So something may be up in the strike zone. Ian has a tendency to swing at things out of the strike zone, so he has to have some composure and some discipline with the strike zone here.
So 4 errors in the ballgame for Palo Alto, proving costly. Moore takes off towards second. He goes there without a challenge. So the tying run at second base. Bailey behind in the count 0-1. McGregor in on the grass at third. He's joined by Nilo at short. Will also come in. Frost even with the bag at first. Marquez trying to bail out of this one. Deals a strike and puts Bailey in the hole 0-2.
Now what Govin, the catcher, has to do is squeeze this third strike. If it is a third strike, you can't let the ball get away because anything can happen if that occurs.
Here's the 0-2. And it's fouled off, and Bailey gets a reprieve. So a hard-fought championship game. This is the way it ought to be when the title is on the line. The trophy is waiting off the field somewhere. The batter steps out, no pitch.
The 15-year-olds in Palo Alto have beaten Tri-Cities 7-2.
We just received word that Palo Alto in the 15-year-old division beat Tri-City, which is Hillsborough, Foster City, and San Mateo, 7-2 for the championship in that division. They'll look for the clean sweep if they can hold on to the 2-run lead here in the 7th. But Marquez yet to get anyone out. Even though Bailey is down 0-2 in the count, he's far from being knocked out of the scorebook as well. And he swings and misses. And Marquez has Palo Alto 2 outs away from a title.
As shown there, Bailey swings at one that was out of the strike zone. He went up there to swing. He went down swinging. That's what you want to do. You never want to strike out in the last inning looking at a pitch. And that'll bring up Mike Garcia with runners still at second and third.
Still at second and third, and Palo Alto's got to think about that tying run at second base and the person of Moore. And a called strike, wicked fastball in at the knees, and it's 0-1 to Garcia.
Garcia has some nice pop in his bat as well. He batted 5th on his regular season team, as there you see the line score. He was a very productive hitter, driving in runs a lot, so this is the right opportunity for Garcia.
And he swings and misses, and he goes down 0-2. So Marquez has just turned it up another notch here after allowing the error to Runyon and then the base hit to Moore.
Again, the pressure is on Govin to squeeze this third strike if it is a third strike.
He sets up over the middle, swung on, and foul tip. So Garcia stays alive. I don't even think he was sure he made contact with that one. That was close. He'll be swinging at anything close again. Marquez deal another 0-2. Here it is, and it's pop foul. That time Garcia, no doubt about it.
Garcia staying alive like you want to do with 2 strikes, protecting the plate, fouling off a pitch he doesn't like, waiting patiently for Marquez to make a mistake that he's going to take into the outfield.
So the winning run at the plate, the tying run at second base, 1 out here in the 7th. Mountain View trying to hold on to their championship hopes. Chopper towards second. This should score 1. McCormick up with it over to first for the out. They get Garcia, but coming home to score is Runyon, and it's now a 1-run game. So Mountain View picks up their 6th run on their 7th hit.
Now batting right fielder number 12,
and Marquez
Martinez.
trying to keep his hands at 10-2 right here. And put it back in the garage safely for Palo Alto. Tying run at third base, winning run at the plate, 2 outs, bottom of the 7th, championship game. And now time is called as the shortstop, Nilo, over to the dugout. And let's see what's happening.
The Palo Alto, managers just were trying to pull in the left fielder from left field. They didn't try to take him out of the ball game. His signals got crossed there.
Remember, you move the outfielders in and the infielders in to try to keep that tying run from scoring.
If I was the Palo Alto coaches, I would kind of play the outfielders back a little bit. If anything gets over their head, Martinez is going to go to second and get in scoring position for the winning run. A base hit is going to score the run anyways, so you don't want anything to get over your head in the outfield.
So Martinez up with a 1-0 count. Takes a pitch high and goes ahead 2-0. He's got a good eye. He's got 2 hits tonight after he was called on to pinch hit in the 4th inning. Drove in a run his last time up in the 5th. Mountain View hoping for a repeat performance here. Here's the 2-0 from Marquez. Inside, and Martinez goes ahead 3-0.
If Marquez were to walk Martinez here, it wouldn't be too bad for Palo Alto because a ground ball to the shortstop or the second baseman, if Marquez were to walk Martinez, would have the force play at second base.
So 3-0 with first base open, and Martinez swings at a pitch inside, and the count goes to 3-1. That could have been ball 4. That pitch was close, but
and
it was
Martinez
high.
knows it.
(3-1), and Martinez digs in. That misses low, so he'll go to first. And Zach McDonald to the plate.
Talk about little men in a big situation. Zach has a chance to tie this game for his ball club. He's come through with nice defensive plays and occasional hits into left field. This is the time for him to come through and perform.
A single and a double tonight. I should say a single tonight and a double the other night. An RBI tonight, now a conference with Joe Guinera. Everybody coming over. If you got a helmet on, that's your prerequisite for getting into this party.
Now, if I was Palo Alto, Mountain View is probably thinking up a play here to double steal. If I was Palo Alto catcher, after Marquez pitches this, I just hold on to the ball and not do anything tricky.
So Stephen Moore is at third base. Nick Martinez is at first. Zach McDonald is the batter. The tying run is at third base. The winning run is at first. And McDonald with a chance to have him go crazy here at McKelvey Park. Jeff Marquez trying to hold on to the win for Palo Alto. He deals, and it misses high. They will concede second to Martinez. He goes down there on the pitch. So now the winning run 180 feet away at second base. Remember, the runners go on the crack of the bat with 2 outs. 1-0 pitch. And McDonald leans back from a fastball. It's 2-0. This is an exciting ball game. McDonald awaits the 2-0. And it misses low and away. And he's ahead 3-0.
Marquez is starting to have some control problems. That's not what you want to do. If the bases were to get loaded, you do not want to walk the tying run in.
3-0 pitch. Inside, ball 4. They're loaded. And Tyler Renahan, how many times do you hear about a young man dreaming about coming up in a deciding game, 2 outs and the bases loaded against the opposing team's ace? Well, that's Jeff Marquez, the ace right there with the ponytail. And like Sampson, he's hoping he can find some strength in that long hair. Tyler Renahan just hoping he can find a hole to hit the ball through.
That's all he needs to do is just get a nice base hit.
The infield drawn up. Right now, the runner you're really worried about if you're Palo Alto is at second base. And that's Martinez, because he's the winning run. And ball 1 to Renahan. So Marquez keeps missing the strike zone. He's surrendered 2 consecutive walks, a quarter of the way to a third. 1-0, up high, and Renahan ahead in the count 2-0. No action down the right field line from the Palo Alto bullpen. Here's the 2-0 from Marquez. Called strike inside, and it's 2-1.
I think the Mountain View fans got a little confused there. They started cheering for a strike.
And so Marquez regains some control right there. Renahan takes another strike inside, and Mountain View down to its final strike.
Tough pitch to call a strike there, inside corner. Marquez painted it beautifully.
So the 2-2, everyone breathing very pensively here at McKelvey Park. Swung on, back to the box, past Marquez, up with it, Nilo over to first, not in time! The tying run scores for Mountain View. And Tyler Renahan keeps the ball game alive. Andy Nilo's had a tough inning at shortstop. It gets worse. Renahan goes down in a heap, but he's 10 feet tall when he stands up in the figurative sense. He hurts his shoulder in the collision, but he doesn't hurt Mountain View's chances. They tie this ball game at 7. Joe Guanera over to check him out, make sure he's okay. He's going to stay on the base paths. So Moore is home. He tied the ball game at 7. Martinez on to third, McDonald on to second, Renahan at first, and Chris Yoshida, now the student in Professor Guanera's classroom.
Now batting catcher, number 40, Chris Yoshida.
8th man to bat this inning for Mountain View. The fly that will not go away from the Palo Alto picnic. And a strike is taken on the outside. It's 0-1 to Yoshida. Yoshida struck out twice, singled, and reached on a fielder's choice. Here's the 0-1. It's fouled off, and the count goes to 0-2. So Mountain View has tied the ball game. Just trying to keep the inning alive right here. And Yoshida started to check his swing and then wisely waited. The pitch outside, the count 1-2.
And if you're looking forward to the 8th inning for Palo Alto, they have the top of the order up next inning. So Mountain View probably needs to win it here.
Swung on, left field, this'll do it. Mountain View wins the championship. Chris Yoshida delivers the winning run. Martinez scores, and they're going crazy.
All you got to do is swing that puppy. Swing it. You don't want to walk, you want to hit it.
And everyone's looking for somebody to hug. We're going to watch it again. Chris Yoshida up the middle, a base hit. Martinez coming around to score, his arms in the air, and pandemonium at the corner of Park and Miramani in Mountain View. The District 6 championship belongs to Mountain View. They come up with 3 runs in the 7th on 3 hits. They get the help of an error, and they win this one 8-7. We'll be back with the final totals and some comments in a moment. They're passing out trophies and sparkling apple cider to the victors from Mountain View. Their 8-7 win over Palo Alto in the final game of the 14-year-old District 6 Babe Ruth tournament. The 3 runs coming in the bottom of the 7th, the winning run with 2 outs on the single by Chris Yoshida, and the final totals, Mountain View 8 runs on 9 hits. They end up stranding 6. For Palo Alto with the loss, 7 runs on 9 hits, 4 errors kill them. They strand 8. Casey, Tyler Renahan tonight comes on, gives up a couple of runs that belonged to his predecessor Brian Cordero, then pitches 4 scoreless innings against Palo Alto. 1 strikeout, 3 walks, allows 3 hits, but a great effort against a very good Palo Alto club.
Yes, Renahan had Palo Alto's number today, as he did on Tuesday when he was a starting pitcher against Palo Alto. He gave up 1 run in that game to Palo Alto, and today coming in, shutting out Palo Alto in the last few innings. That was the key to Mountain View's comeback victory, is be able to hold off Palo Alto from that early surge and to be able to go on and win the championship.
So it's on to Fairfield for Mountain View. Speaking for my partner, Casey McGuire, our producer and director, Lazarus Sargent, and his entire crew, this is George Devine wishing you a very pleasant good evening from McKelvey Park, where Mountain View comes from behind and takes the title 8-7 over Palo Alto. Thanks for joining us on KMVT Sports.